Word of an attempted comeback for disgraced former Governor Andrew Cuomo. An article in the Wall Street Journal talks about how he and his aides are working to revive his public standing after he resigned last August following a slew of sexual misconduct allegations. The New York State Attorney General released a report that concluded he sexually harassed 11 women. He has denied those allegations, calling the report political, and so far there have been no criminal charges filed against him. As we've reported, several district attorneys, including in Albany and Oswego counties, have closed the cases against him. Joining us live to talk about this is Jimmy Vielkind from the Wall Street Journal. And Jimmy, it's great to have you on as always. As you mentioned in your article, we've kind of seen this before in this state, especially people like former Governor Eliot Spitzer, ex-U.S. Representative Anthony Weiner. But they have ultimately failed to be successful in their comebacks after their sex scandals. Now you have Andrew Cuomo. A good chunk of people, had called for him to resign. We've seen the polls out there that didn't seem like he had a whole lot of support among the public. How likely is some type of comeback like this?
Well, it's unclear whether or not the comeback at this point, Michael, will involve an actual run for office. Both Eliot Spitzer and Anthony Weiner waited several years before they left office before attempting another run at a campaign. There has not been any explicit sign that Andrew Cuomo is thinking about a campaign, but as I reported in the Wall Street Journal, people who spoke with him got the impression that he was thinking, at least considering, making a run against Tish James. Again, the author of that report. What we have seen from Cuomo is his aides and attorney sharing information about his accusers, which they say undermine the accusers' credibility, and attacking James's report. We also heard James fire back. A spokeswoman for the Attorney General, Delaney Kempner, said Cuomo's relentless attacks on these brave women will not mask the truth. He is a serial sexual harasser. So certainly if there is a campaign coming soon, there will be a very potent charge which Andrew Cuomo will have to contend with.
And Jimmy, I can tell you based on my own reporting and talking with people close to the former governor, he is essentially furious at Tish James, furious at this report. Again, he says that it's political, that it kind of has destroyed him. You wonder about the sort of vendetta that exists now between him and the current attorney general. But you need resources in order to be able to run a race like that. Is there any indication that Governor Cuomo has the money available to him now, former Governor Cuomo, or could raise the money to actually mount a race against Tish James?
He does have it in the bank right now, Michael. According to the latest disclosure reports that were filed last month with the State Board of Elections, Cuomo has about $16 million in his campaign account. He spent about $1 million since leaving office. Most of that money has gone to attorneys, including almost $900,000 to Rita Glavin, who has represented him in the sexual harassment probes and, as you mentioned, the local prosecutions that have so far not resulted in any charges being pushed forward into a trial. Most political experts say that is enough money to sustain a pretty vigorous statewide run. I think by way of contrast, if you think about the last several Republicans who have run for governor, Rob Astorino in 2014, Mark Molinaro in 2018, $16 million is more than they spent on their entire efforts combined. So certainly it would be enough to get the governor's message out, to hire a team to circulate nominating petitions if he needed it. Again, the question is now the time to pull the trigger, and will he go ahead with it?
Finally, Jimmy, we've got less than a minute left here. No criminal charges filed against the governor. Again, we've said time and again he has denied all of these accusations against him. But something like that would certainly hang over his head should he decide to get back into politics. Is there any sense there in Albany that the investigations, whether criminal or civil, that all of that is behind him, or is that still something potentially to deal with?
That's not quite the sense I get. In fact, it's mostly the opposite. People point out that there is still an ongoing investigation by Ms. James's office into the alleged misuse of state resources to produce the governor's pandemic memoir. People might recall that he signed a $5.1 million contract for that book, which was released in October 2020, just as the second wave of the pandemic was starting to hit New York. And my reporting indicates that state officials helped edit drafts of that book. They attended meetings at the executive mansion, and that the governor himself recorded the audio version of that book while in the mansion. So that's certainly hanging out there. As you pointed out, local prosecutors in Oswego, Westchester, Albany, and Nassau counties have all said they're not moving forward with criminal charges based upon the conduct described in the James report. But there's also been lots of activity by federal prosecutors related to the state's nursing home policies during the pandemic. Some of those probes have closed, but it's our belief, based on information that has come out, that some of them might still be active. Officially, federal prosecutors haven't said anything, but it's certainly not something that is completely clear. And to use your point, Michael, could be a cloud if there was a future campaign.
Jimmy Vielkind covers Albany for the Wall Street Journal. Jimmy, thanks so much. It's great to have you on.
Thanks for having me.